Welcome back, everyone. We're here today on a brand new Friday review. Today is episode 2401. So the two new research studies that I bring you today, the new product review, the herb of the week, and everything else we have going on in the private practice and with Equal Life and Integrative Health Practitioner Institute and so much more will be at episode 2401. And the link is stephencabral.com/2401. All right, let's dive into the show. So much to cover today. I feel like I've been away for a while, but I really haven't. So the funny thing is this show is debuting right around, or I should say right on 9/2/22. I know that a lot of people have plans coming into this weekend, obviously, especially in the US as we're heading into Labor Day weekend. I hope that this is a weekend that you do get a little rest, you get a little R&R, a little time to yourself that you get to enjoy. But one of the things that I love to do too on Labor Day weekend is that for me, it's kind of that big turning point. So most of you know that, I really take my personal life seriously. I really do. Meaning I try to get the most out of it. A lot of people, a lot of the times they're okay with just kind of being there and not having a plan or any of those things. And I'm okay with that too. If that's how you like to live, then good. That's how I like it as well. There's no problem at all. You're getting to do what you want to do with your life. But I really love being able to look at blocks of time during the year. And so one of those is the summer. And for me, it's July and August, and that's really it. And now that my girls are going to school at a new school, my girls are actually going to school earlier. So Labor Day doesn't have the same feel to it because they're back in school in, mid-August or so. And so, it's a little bit different, but still for me, in terms of work, it's not the same dial. I don't look at it exactly the same. It's like, okay, the fall is here, or the unofficial fall is here right after Labor Day weekend. And so we have so much planned. I really can't wait to be able to share more of it with you, different partnerships. I'm going to wait to share that with you next week. Many of you have already seen it online, but we're just trying to do some big things in order to push back against the absolute deluge of just bad science, sponsored science by big food and big pharma and so much more. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you saw it. I'll talk more about it in the future. I'll do a whole podcast on it. But when there is actual scientific research, and again, I use the word scientific research in air quotes here if you're watching it on a video, but when science, and especially I'm embarrassed myself, it comes out of Boston, Massachusetts, showing that they've essentially calculated the nutrition scores of over 8,000 foods. And they found that, and half these were processed foods in the top 20, that frosted mini wheats and Cheerios are more nutritious than most of the fruits, vegetables, not most, 99% of all fruits, veggies, meat, eggs, etc. I mean, what are we doing? Right? What are we doing? Are we really supposed to believe that this is good actual science? That frosted mini wheats and processed Cheerios are better than fruit or some eggs or smoothie or oatmeal or anything like that for breakfast? This is better? I mean, really supposed to believe that? So I don't even know how I got on this topic. It's a topic for another day, but oh yes, partnerships. I'll talk more about these in the future. But I know a bunch of people in this industry. I've been in this industry for 25 years, and my colleagues and myself are just committed. We're committed to pushing back against this absolute misinformation, which is going to set generations to come back. I mean, it really is. So we just need all of you. We need your support, not to do anything specifically, but just to share the word that this is bad science. It's paid for, I'm sure, by the dairy industry, by the processed food industry, by the new fake meat industry, by all of that, right? We have to be careful with paid for by corporation science. So wasn't the best, it wasn't the best start for updates, but I'm excited though about this fall season and just doing more to push back against that. I'll be on a lot more podcasts, doing a lot more interviews. And we also have our big IHP event coming out this October down in Florida. There are about 200 IHPs coming to the event. If you're an IHP, you haven't already gotten your ticket, you definitely need to check it out. You can just head on over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org. And of course, we would love to see you live at the event. I will be there. Our entire IHP team, for the most part, will be there. Same with the Equal Life team. It's going to be a great 2-day event. All right, check that out. for sure, integrativehealthpractitioner.org. And again, I'll talk more about partnerships next week. But if you are a gym, a spa, a health food-based store, and you are looking to partner with a company that cares, we're going to be talking more about that next week over and with Equal Life as well. Just really important. We're just looking to create more synergies and just promote good people doing good work. That's the bottom line. All right, this week going on over at Equal Life, I don't want you to miss this. This is actually a free bottle on all qualifying orders, which is pretty phenomenal. This is our activated B complex. The reason why this is pretty fantastic is it's one of our most popular items. People love this particular supplement. I've been using it for years, and I've been using it actually since I was in my 20s because it's going to improve overall energy. It's going to improve overall brain function. It's going to help with mood. It's going to help with sleep. It's going to help with digestion. It's going to help you better turn carbohydrates into energy and fuel. That is what it does. And so it is our activated B complex. It is the biological form of the B vitamins, which means the vitamins that are in this particular B complex are actually what is needed by the body in its fully methylated form in order to be fully utilized. So I do the daily nutritional support at breakfast, and then when I need the energy and when I'm under a lot of stress and doing a lot of traveling, like I will be, I take one B complex at lunch and I take another at dinner. Really simple, really straightforward, really easy. Yours completely free on all qualifying orders at stephencabral.com/shop while supplies last. All right, podcast recap for the week before we get into our product review. That's definitely a popular one as well coming. Herb of the week and 2 research studies. All right, podcast recap of the week was your skepticism is holding you back in life. I enjoy doing that show. There's so many people skeptical out there right now. It's completely insane. Like, it really is. People just basically, I think, are skeptical for the sake of even being skeptical sometimes. Now, again, do I think it's healthy sometimes to be skeptical? I do. Do I think people more than ever should be skeptical? I do. But just don't let that skepticism hold you back from eventually making the right decision. Like, that's the bottom line. The research that just came out on frosted mini wheats, ridiculous. You should be skeptical, right? I hope it's a joke. I hope it's like an early April, Fool's joke. I really do. I hope the egg is on me at the end of this. I really hope that it's living in a bad dream. But anyway, but overall in life, you need to make sure that you're not held back all the time by your skepticism, that you do need to make decisions and move forward on your dreams, hopes, and goals. All right, Tuesday's show was high antioxidant foods that help reverse aging and disease. I basically just gave you about a dozen how to implement them really easily into your daily nutrition. Wednesday's show is the best and worst times to drink coffee. Really important because you don't want the anxiety that comes with it. Maybe you want some of the energy. You don't want to overdo it. I kind of go through all of the different steps, how many milligrams might be best for you, and how to test it as well. And then yesterday's show was the early warning signs of everyday dehydration. This is an important one. The more we talk about exercise and sauna and brain fog and low mood and all these things, we want to be talking about hydration, what it looks like, how much you actually need, and early warning signs before you actually get thirsty. So definitely check that out. That was episode 2400. All of today's shows were at stephencabral.com/podcasts. All right, product review of the week. Now, really, this has been like blowing up in a good way over the last 3 weeks when it debuted. And again, there's, of course, skepticism around this. People telling me that, like it wasn't me in the photographs. It was wild stuff that like somehow I had a whole head of gray hair and that I changed it back to my natural hair color. It was like wild skepticism. But again, I know online, like, hey, everything is skeptical. And if you haven't tuned into my previous 2400 podcasts, you may actually not know me or see me. And while, yes, I do have some gray hairs coming in on the sides, I have no gray hair on the top of my head. I have like 1 or 2 strands, yes. But anyway, what many people don't know, and because I was like, hey, should I share this or not? And I just decided that I'm going to share my life with you and all the things that I struggle with and I work to improve myself. And so one of those was that I lost literally 50% of the hair on the top of my head. And it was wild too, because I lost it within just a month or two. And it was a lot to deal with at that moment. So I just share with you all the research, everything I've done with clients for the past more than 10 years, what I did myself, and I just laid it out for you. Now, there are more things to do, and people have said those things, and I don't disagree with them. I'm trying to give people the 7 easiest things they could do, and you don't have to do all of them. So I shared that at stephencabral.com/hair-loss. stephencabral.com/hair-loss. It's just a big article, all my research, exactly what happened to me, how I was able to regrow it. You can see the top of my head right now. And that's that. So I'm just here to share with you the information of what I believe truly works, is backed by science, but also it's backed by 6,000 years of Ayurvedic medicine, and then just brought up to date by state-of-the-art science. So like state-of-the-art science is proving what Ayurveda has always said. Ayurveda wasn't saying eat frosted mini wheats. I'm not going to get away from that for like weeks. So that's that. So I just wanted to share that with you. And one of the things, though, that's super easy to do is actual essential oils that can be combined with a base oil that can help thicken your hair, improve the proteins, eliminate, balance healthy levels of inflammation, and help with overall hair growth. So like that's a great first place to start. It wouldn't be the only thing that I would do. I'd be careful with that. Don't believe that there's one, silver bullet that's going to fix everything. I don't believe that for anything. So I certainly don't believe it with hair loss. And one thing to look into is just choose your base oil, and then I'm going to give you what to add to it. And again, these are at stephencabral.com/hair-loss. So I'll try to link it up for you at episode 2401 today too. But you want a base oil. All right. So what's your base oil? Base oil is going to be jojoba oil. That's jojoba, also jojoba oil, or castor oil, or something called the hair regrowth oil. All right. So, and that's a kind of concoction of olive oil, coconut oil, and a few others. So that's a really nice one. It's got a strange little smell to it, but not bad. And I only put it on at night. So I'll tell you exactly how, let me just tell you exactly what I do. You can choose to copy it or not copy it. Totally up to you. All right. So, and again, these are all outside companies. These are companies that I don't even know who they are, but I recommend them because they work. All right. So I'll use the hair regrowth oil, but I'll only use that at night because it has just kind of an earthy smell to it. I don't mind, but it's a bunch of different herbs and oils, and it's been shown for many, many people to work. Again, that one is more anecdotal. The others I have are all based on science. But again, what I want to share with you is actually some of these now have science behind them. So one of the things that they always use in Ayurveda was coconut oil. I'm not the biggest fan of coconut oil as a base oil because it is really greasy. And if you put that on your head, it's not ideal. However, they did use in Ayurveda for many, many years for fungal-based issues in the head, inflammatory issues, healthy fats, and so much more. So I don't use coconut oil, but you could. I would use sesame oil, castor oil, or I would use the jojoba oil. Jojoba oil is easy. It's light. It'll dry. If you're worried about hey, where should I start? Maybe start there. Castor oil, probably the best, but very, very thick, almost like a gel. That's what castor oil is like. Sesame oil has always been used as well as an antimicrobial. It naturally has some copper in it. Copper's good for hair growth too. And then there's the concoction, which is the hair regrowth oil. Okay, so there's that. Now, what I want you to do, though, this is our product review of the week, is I want you to add just 2 to 3 drops of bergamot, all right? Bergamot oil, bergamot essential oil. Try to get an organic brand if you can, okay? A great one. And then you can also add, and a bunch of people have mentioned this, and I don't disagree, it's another great one. There are others as well, but this is a good one too, rosemary oil. And again, you can get yourself an organic rosemary oil, just 2 to 3 drops as well. You can add that. How do you add it? Well, one is you can put the base oil on your head first, or you put the base oil in your hand. How much? Just about a tablespoon. That's all you need. If you have a lot of hair, but you're really just rubbing it on the scalp, so your hair doesn't matter as much as your scalp. Maybe 2 tablespoons. That's it. That's the maximum. Then you add in your 3 drops. If you put 2 tablespoons, well, you can double that of your essential oils. But I would just go 3 drops is enough to start to see if there's any burning or tingling of your bergamot. 2 to 3 drops of your rosemary. Massage that into your scalp. And what I do is I keep that in for about 2-3 hours before bed. And then I just towel dry my hair so I don't get oil all over my pillowcase. And that's it. And then I just shower the next day. So that's exactly what I do. That's one of basically the 7 steps. Again, you can check those out at stephencabral.com/hair-loss. But I wanted to share that with you. And then the rosemary, the bergamot oil will be on that same webpage. And I don't even know how much we can link up because I don't think they are considered nutritional supplements. But the FDA does not allow me to link up to nutritional supplements when talking about dis-ease, and who knows if I just stated anything that's a disease, right? So we have to be careful. All right, and so we follow the letter of the law. All right, saw palmetto is our herb of the week. When I look back in my notes and I said, I'd love to be able to talk more about hair loss today and hair loss-based herbs. Well, let me see if I talked about saw palmetto, because you know I'm doing an herb of the week every single Friday for 2022. It turns out I haven't. And the funny thing is, I'm looking at houses for myself, my family, and I see saw palmetto growing in the backyard. I'm like, is this a sign? should I take this as a sign? But you know, me being someone who loves studying herbs, I've been studying herbs for many, many years, and then I got the actual opportunity over a decade ago to be able to go to India and actually study in the Himalayas. And that was amazing because I got to see first and foremost them growing. We'd take them back. We'd see what they looked at dried. We'd then grind them down, and we'd actually make them into herbal decoctions or in a powdered form for encapsulation. So really, really great. But saw palmetto, you know, this is a perennial favorite, meaning it's been used for thousands of years, and it has so much science, so much real clinical data, not Cheerios data, but actual science behind it. And I just want to share with you just a little bit about saw palmetto. It is an herb that helps both men and women. A lot of people associate it only with men, and I understand because the way that it mainly acts or works is on stopping the conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, DHT. So it helps for what? Well, it helps for hair loss, okay? That's a big one. It's been cited. Let me give you some of the actual science behind it, and then we're going to go through the 5 big benefits right here. All right, so let me read you some of this research. So this is a review of 7 different studies, and it found that saw palmetto, both orally and topically, and I give you a topical shampoo as well, but again, choose your own shampoo, improved hair quality by 60%. It raised total hair count by 27%, and it increased hair density in 83% of people with hair loss. I mean, that's pretty solid, right? I mean, that's actual science. That's real science. 7 different studies. And so when you look at that, I don't know that it's going to do, I know for sure that it's not studied to help like slow graying hair, but certainly it helps for hair loss and hair thinning if the issue is with the activity of the 5-alpha reductase, which is an enzyme that converts testosterone into dihydrotestosterone. So it helps to block that. That's one of the reasons why it's a great preventer of hair thinning and loss. Also helps with overall prostate-based issues. So if you're looking at prostate issues, usually called benign prostate hypertrophy, and so BPH, and then again, I can't say it may help with prostate-based cancer. I just to say it may, even though there's some decent clinical science suggesting that it may. So what it does is it helps with inflammation, or at least balancing healthy levels of inflammation with the prostate. So that helps with urinary flow, urinary tract function, and overall prostate-based health. Okay, one of the reasons why, obviously, that's not going to be for women to get benefit from, but women, especially those with PCOS that have thinning hair, actually get benefit from using saw palmetto because they have a higher testosterone to dihydrotestosterone conversion, especially if you run the stress, mood, and metabolism test and you see higher testosterone. For sure, it works. Multiple studies on inflammation in the prostate, inflammation in urinary tract. And then an interesting study, because sometimes people think that using these specific testosterone blockers to DHT is actually going to lower testosterone. And the science does not seem to support that. What it actually shows is that it helps balance healthy levels of testosterone. So in some men, there was a study that showed those with lower levels of testosterone declining with age that was affecting their sex drive, mood, brain function, and body composition, and potentially even heart-based disease, that saw palmetto helped to preserve testosterone levels with aging. So I think it's, again, really good science, very, very potent data. And it's something that I've been using in the real world too for many, many years. So I've been using this in my practice for well over a decade. I've been using a product called Advanced Prostate Support, which has saw palmetto. And if you're someone that's dealing with prostate-based issues, we use Advanced Prostate Support. And then if you're dealing with hair loss-based issues and prostate issues, or you're just dealing with hair loss issues, we use a product called Daily Hair Support that has the saw palmetto in it. But again, you choose to use what you want for you. I just want to share with you always what we do in our practice. All right, that is saw palmetto. Now let's give you the research of the week. Okay, this is a brand new one, right? This is a brand new one. This comes out of McGill University in Montreal, Canada, and it was on 2,261 people, and it was published in Science Translational Medicine is the journal. And it says this: if you are treating back pain with non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs like Advil, you could be causing a chronic-based condition. Let me read you exactly what it says. And this is from Dr. Luda Dyachenko, a medical doctor and PhD. And it says back pain was twice as likely to become chronic, meaning after 6 weeks or so, among people who took non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, such as ibuprofen and naproxen, versus people who took different or no drugs at all. Those whose pain lasted longest had the least amount of inflammation. Those whose pain lasted longest had the least inflammation, suggesting that dampening the inflammatory response may inhibit recovery. Yeah, and the thing is, I want to give you a little sidebar on this too, is that we've known this for many, many years. When there is an injury, the body actually needs a certain amount of inflammation, because that inflammation is what's taking place actually creating the repair, right? So we have to understand that inflammation is caused by repair in a lot of the time. A fever is not always to be suppressed. Inflammation around an injury is not always to be suppressed. You'll work with your doctor if it starts to get too heightened, but for the most part, we need to make sure that the body is actually recovering and that we're working with it. So just keep that in mind. Really, really, I think beneficial, since so many people dealing with back pain issues. I mean, again, I always look at engaging, reactivating the hamstrings and glutes, working on core strength, opening up your hip flexors, and then of course anti-inflammatory nutrition and much more. So InflamaSoothe is a better choice. There's no doubt about that. Product called InflamaSoothe. You're welcome to check that out as well. All right, and the last one I wanted to tie in with our saw palmetto today, and it says this one is done by Dr. Katz, chair of urology at NYU Long Island School of Medicine in Garden City, New York, and it was published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute. And it says, get a PSA score with annual blood work. And if the score rises sharply from the previous year, insist on an MRI before getting a biopsy. In 2012, the medical community recommended against using prostate-specific antigen, that's the PSA, to screen for prostate cancer because it led to many unnecessary biopsies and treatments. But new data now shows a decrease in overtreatment, but an increase in diagnosis of metastatic cancers. Elevated blood levels of PSA can indicate malignant cancer when it is still treatable. All right, so the medical industry is a bit of a mess right now in terms of should they use PSA or not. Some people are saying we should still look at it. Some people are saying we should throw it out because it can just mean inflammation of the prostate and not cancer. And then all of a sudden you go for a biopsy of your prostate, and what happens is there was no cancer, but now they created damage to the prostate with scar tissue through that biopsy, and now cancer cells grow around the biopsy. It's a problem. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's certainly a problem. The same thing can happen with mammograms and then biopsies, right? So it's like, just have to be careful. That's all that I'm saying. You have to make the best decision for you based on all the inputs that you get. So what they're saying is if you usually add a 1 for a PSA, and then all of a sudden you jump to a 5, well, or a 10, even more, I would say severe. Let's say you go from a 1 to a 3 to a 10. Okay, when you hit that 10, and again, I'm not giving you medical advice right now because you might do it sooner. Instead of doing a biopsy, which you'd really want to do as a last resort, you might want to do an MRI to actually look first to say, hey, what is going on here? Inflammation or more, right? So we can look at that. Another is thermography. I'm not telling you, again, giving you medical advice to replace your MRI with thermography, but, non-invasive and does not have the same level of, radiation as an MRI, although I know it's magnetic, but it still counts. So it's something to think about. Again, I'm just saying, like, what would I do? What would I recommend to a family member? Okay, I would still run PSA. There's no doubt about it. I'm still running PSA. I would still recommend others run PSA. So PSA, you see a sharp incline, you're doing a thermography, that's what I would do. Okay, we see something like an actual spot. Okay, let's do an MRI. MRI shows something, okay, then maybe you're doing a biopsy. That again, I'm not giving medical advice, but that's what I would do for me personally. I would recommend for family members as well. So hopefully that was helpful. Thanks so much for tuning into this Friday review. I always kind of go over so much. And again, if you always have questions or you ever have questions, do feel free to reach out. My team and I are always happy to help. Take care, everybody. We'll be answering those questions, our community questions, on tomorrow's house call. Take care.